Welcome and thank you for joining me today. Today, let's read together from the Archbook series, John's Easter story, from the perspective of John. Clearly here he is with Mary, Jesus' mother here on earth, as well as the other Mary, as we recall from the Bible. And this is going to be the scene here where Jesus is dead on the cross. It looks like he is paying, if he's not dead yet, the sins for all mankind. Everybody here is able to be forgiven as long as they believe in this sacrifice, they receive it, and carry it out in faith in their lives, living for Christ as a Christ follower, as a Christian here, essentially, as we believe that Jesus is God and Jesus has paid for our sins. This has already happened about 2,000 years ago, right? 2024 is the year that we're in right now. So it's about that time frame specifically here where Jesus has lived, he died, but that's not the end of the story. He has resurrected. We're going to go on to see this time frame here in John's perspective, and let's get started. This is from John 20:1 to 10 and John 18 to 20 for our children's version today, and it's going to be written by Cynthia Agricola Hinkle, illustrations by Len Ebert. John's Easter story, let's get started. So I'm John. It says here on the first page, they're on the beach here, the beach side, the seaside here. Here is a picture of John. I'm John. I'm on Patmos, a rocky island, where I wrote about what I saw, touched, and heard. God sent me to tell you of his master plan and how from the start there was Jesus, the Word. I may be an old man now, grizzled and gray, but once I was younger and busy like you. On the Galilee Sea I fished night and day. Then Jesus called to me, and to him I flew. Long before this day, and now listen as I preach, I followed Jesus as he traveled along. For 3 years I saw him heal people and teach that he came to forgive and right what was wrong. How God initially wanted things to be, if there were any fixes that need to be fixed, any repairs, any brokenness, he was there to make it right. It was the first day of the Passover feast at this time, the week that Jesus dies. It was the first day, and Peter and I helped prepare for the meal later that week, right? The 12 of us sat, but before we could eat, Lord Jesus surprised us when we saw him kneel. You'll see here, start to kneel, take off his robe, his clothing that he had on, his tunic. Now he's going to wrap it around his waist here as he washes the feet of his friends, his disciples, including here Peter. And there it is. It says here that John was helping Peter. They prepared for the meal. All of them were here. All 12 of the disciples gathered here with Jesus. And they were going to follow his lead, listen to him teach, listen to him preach, listen to what he had to say, instructions that he would be giving. With a bowl of water and a linen towel, you'll see here that everybody is just watching intently what Jesus would do here. They may have felt this intensity of some kind, how they really had to pay attention to Jesus, heeded to that, and now all these things unfolded, and all of these things would be to be remembered. With a bowl of water and a linen towel, Jesus washed all their feet of filthy road dust. And Peter, the bold one, exclaimed with a howl, "Now clean my hands and head, Master, if you must. Except for your feet, you are clean." Jesus said, "I want you to serve and to love as I do, but there is one who eats a bit of my bread who will kick up trouble. For me, this is true." So everything has meaning here. Example. Jesus just showed example. He said, do what I do. He didn't necessarily say to wash the feet of others, but he did say to serve and to love. Perhaps to do that if needed as well, to wash people's feet, other people's feet, to be a servant, to serve, to be there for one another. And that's what he emphasizes. And he emphasizes too that This is a teaching that is important. It's to be humble, that heart position of being humble here. That is not only just about ourselves, to have that selfish heart, but to be unselfish as much as possible. Even the Lord is, and the Lord of Lords is who we're talking about here. And He is the one who's showing example for them to follow of being a servant, even if one is not just a servant, but a master as well, like Jesus was. He wants us to see no matter who we are, even He Himself came to serve, wants to serve, loves to serve, and find that serving is important, and we should do that. He also emphasizes that there is one who will stir up trouble for Himself, for Jesus, to just be the kickstart here of all the things that should transpire, are prophesied to be transpired, that need to be transpired in order for Jesus to be crucified and risen here for us. And so he emphasizes that there is a betrayer, even one who has seen all of this power, healing, and glory of the Lord from Him Himself, just decides to choose the other thing, the wrong thing, the ungodly thing. And this is what Jesus is emphasizing. Let us not be like that one disciple, Judas. Let us not betray the Lord. Let us not turn away from the Lord here, even with all of these chances and understandings of what the Lord is doing and how selfless He shows Himself to be. There's that percentage, there's still that possibility that someone, even after seeing, witnessing, and befriending Jesus Himself here on the flesh on earth, can still walk away from the Lord for money here at the end of the day, for his own selfish desires, for his own way of thinking at the end of the day. That's not what we should choose here. Unfortunately, that is the case for some. And in the end, it may be that for the most part, it leads to the end that they are separated from God forever, as they dwell in their dwelling place here, not with the Lord, but down they go in that dark pit here. It's there. It's true that it's there. The Lord allowed that to happen for the devil himself, Satan, and all of his followers. All those fallen angels, all those demons and demonic entities, forces, spirits, but as well as those who decide that they don't want Jesus in the end. Unfortunately, that is where they're going to be destined forevermore. But Jesus says, no, there's another way that I pave, another way of following me, even though it might not be what our flesh wants, it may not be what the world says, it may not be, again, what our human nature, our flesh might want. But this is the way, the truth, and the life. This is the way that we should live life. It has so much good fruit, has so much more meaning and depth and growth in and of ourselves as we grow to become more like Jesus, to become more like God. And Jesus came here to show us, and He was perfect, is perfect, was perfect when He was here on earth. He carried out in completion what God the Father wanted Him to do, and in that showed us how to be like Him and how to be like the way He wants us to be. So here it is. That is Jesus kneeling down, serving and doing a task not many people would want to do, but know that is a need. And it's a great way to show one cares for another. And He chooses it because it's needed. It's love, and it is something that takes care of a need here. And a good example here of something you might not want to do, but is something that makes a big difference. Jesus gave each of us some bread and some wine. He said, here's my body, my blood shed for thee. Remain in me, friends, just like grapes on a vine, and often do this in remembrance of me. Others did not see the trouble among us, but I leaned near Jesus, so I clearly saw the master dip bread and give it to Judas, who left us so quickly, that sneaky outlaw. Because that was the time when Jesus said that I will reveal who the betrayer is, the one who will dip bread. Along the lines of dipping bread with him, they'd be dipping the bread near him. But here is Jesus here giving the bread to Judas. That is pointing out here at this time that Judas is the betrayer. He does this very he does it indirectly, but also directly at the same time, not just flat out pointing at him, making him feel totally condemned in that sense, but just pointing it out as the truth here. People could take it and believe it or not, and people can just see what he's doing, so that they can see an answer here to this question that everybody has on their mind, because Jesus pointed out someone's going to betray him. It also gives him like another last chance, because Jesus was kind of telling him, right, that he knows that he's going to betray him, but it's still his choice though for him to proceed or not. And him knowing that Jesus knows, he does choose, unfortunately, to still proceed to betray Jesus. That sneaky one, John says, he was able to see that with his very own eyes. Then a few hours later, we hid in that room. Gone was our master. Yes, gone was our dear guide. And so John is saying that they went out, they left that upper room. They were outside for some time. You'll see them in the background. But they all hid back there, thinking maybe these soldiers, these leaders wouldn't find them there. They were able to still go back. They were there earlier. And unfortunately, gone was our master. Gone was their master who became servant. Their master that was with them just a few hours ago, for some time this evening, and he had gone from us into the darkest gloom. The enemy took him away to be tried, and this is so unfortunate that this is happening. They're taking it all in. They're frozen. They hid. That was their initial reactions, totally frightened. Soldiers had found him in a garden of trees. Torches blazed brightly as Judas kissed his face. They grabbed their Lord. Oh, how I wanted to flee. But I followed the Lord with them. I kept pace. Well, here's John. You'll see him in blue among the soldiers here. It says that John decided to not flee at this time, at least, like the others did, although the others did go to the upper room, right? It was John, though. John said he did not. He proceeded to stay and follow the Lord where he would be going, kept pace here, followed behind closely. They dragged Jesus to the church and town leaders. He spoke truth to them all. They just rolled their eyes. Whether or not he was able to go all the way in where that trial was, John is just keeping his eyes on the Lord here. And just trying to be there for him, trying to give Jesus his presence here. And the people that were just so defiant, so just fixed on crucifying, hurting the Lord, they rolled their eyes here. It says they just wanted things to just stay the same, them to be in power, them to have all the glory, them for the people to follow and love, right? He spoke truth to Pilate, who gave in to fears. At the end of the day, you'll see him washing his hands here after he tried to convince the crowd here that was in front of them to let Jesus go, for he's innocent at the end of the day. But because the people were so defiant, after following these defiant leaders, guidance, their desires. The crowds followed here. They didn't want to open up to the Lord the possibility that this man here that they're looking at could be the promised Messiah. They didn't want anything to do with that, because they just wanted things to still be the same, even if things were not fair, were unjust, and were evil. So Pilate, he just had so many numbers against him. He gave into that, washed his hands clean, to symbolize that I spoke up as much as I could, and it didn't have the result that I wanted, but I'm just going to move along here and have things just continue to be the way that they are going to are. And I mean, I think I did what I could, and all these people here are just like, we have to listen to what they say, right? He faced a crowd who kept yelling, "Crucify," and poor Jesus here is just hearing it all. And unfortunately, hearing this, meanness, this mockery towards him that was just growing and growing. At Jesus' cross, I hugged Mary, his mother. He said, "It is finished," and he bowed his head. Then we saw from his side flow blood and water. The worst thing had happened, or Jesus was dead. They pierced him. They wanted to see if he was dead, because he should have. It looked like he drew his last breath, and that instead of breaking his legs, they just pierced him on the side to verify that he was dead, because it really seemed that way. And it was declared here that Jesus has died. We grieved and we mourned. Our dear teacher was gone. They buried him, and we went back to our room. Then on Sunday, Mary arrived just past dawn. She yelled, "Come, they've taken him out of the tomb."